Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios, once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1073, Miss Buckingham Stussy. And to be honest, not a lot happens in this chapter in terms of just number of things happening. We actually only go to like 3 different locations and then have some major reveals here and there. Anyways, the artwork for this week is the continuation of the Germa Double Six flashback to Mads, and we see that despite the others being scientists of evil, Vegapunk is a scientist of peace, a man who invented flowers that can bloom using gunpowder as their soil, which is kind of cool, kind of interesting. I think that would be there's probably some practicality there in that gunpowder does contain different chemicals and possibly got to be vitamins in there somewhere, you know. So that's pretty much it for the flashback, and with that we cut back to the Vegapunk lab and the Seraphim standing outside of it. Stussy having just defeated Kaku, Lucci's sort of trying to put everything together, but he just doesn't get it. So obviously he finger pistols Stussy. However, this finger pistol is not enough to do her in. In fact, quite the opposite. She uses a new a new version of one of the 6 powers. So we know how you had the hand pistol instead of the finger pistol. Well, in this case, Stussy used paper art after image. Of all the 6 powers, I would say paper art was probably the least impressive. It was just like your body flowed like paper, so when like a punch came at you, the wind from it would blow the paper away. Which, I mean, if you think about it in real life, you know, you got a piece of paper, you just sort of... Bad example. But she left behind an after image, which he, you know, instead hit that instead of her, which I feel like, despite it being called paper art, that feels more like a shave technique, where you're moving so fast that it leaves behind an after image of you. Anyways, she responds by saying, "Oh, so when you don't understand something, you just immediately attack it. Is that what we're doing here? That's fine." She takes out her lipstick, which is actually sea prism. Sticks it right on Lucci's neck, which weakens him enough for her to bite into him. So, for anyone thinking, "Oh, well, what about hockey?" The drain on your physical energy from sea prism stone might have some effect on your hockey. We know that hockey can be used by devil fruit users underwater because we saw Luffy do it against Tori Jones, but it was still a weakened effect. So maybe Stussy knew that if she just like bit on him, he would just harden his arm with armament hockey to stop her from biting. Maybe that's the case, but regardless, she obviously, being surrounded by other devil fruit eaters, decided to take some precautions herself. And with that, Rob Lucci is down. So all that's left is her and the Seraphims. She takes her little transponder snail and she says, "Okay, Vegapunk, they're both down. Everything's safe now. But we do have a problem. Apparently, because Rob Lucci gave the order to destroy the building, because Stussy is a member of CP0, she has the like identical authority to him. As a result, any order he gives, they will obey, and she can't override that, which is kind of weird. Because like, if I was in the military, and my general told me to go do something at a different base, and I went to that different base, and the other general said stop, it's not like I would just ignore the other general, because it's still a position of authority above me. You don't just smash a window because dad told you to when mom clearly said don't. I mean, it's kind of weird on that case, but that must be how Vegapunk does it. Either that or Lucci has more authority than Stussy within CP0. Because again, what if 2 CP... Is it just who gave the order first? I wish this was a little more clear cut, but regardless, it's okay because Lilith and Edison managed to make it outside. Zoro and Brooke are ready to fight as well, but as Lilith comes out to give her order, that's when the Mihawk Seraphim takes a look at her, and he goes to take a slash because he's just attacking anything. Zoro blocks it. Keep in mind that this is the first time Brook and Zoro have actually seen the Seraphim, so to the two of them, this is really weird. There's a Bartholomew Kuma and a child version of Jinbei running around with two other warlords, and Brook actually tells Zoro, he says, hey, don't these guys look kind of familiar? And Zoro goes, yeah, especially one guy in particular. So when that Mihawk, gets blocked by Zoro, Zoro's looking at him and he goes, oh, hey, actually, now that I'm getting a good look at you, you're actually a little more human than the guy I knew. So that was funny. Zoro's making a little jab at Mihawk, which is cute because, the guy trained him for 2 years and fed him and clothed him. So, yeah, go ahead, insult your teacher before you fight his younger version. Regardless, Zoro manages to block him. I believe either the Kuma Seraphim or the Hancock Seraphim take a shot at Edison. And as Edison, it looks like Edison blew up, but it's okay because Sanji got there just in time. That's enough time for Lilith to give the order to stop. Now the Seraphim and Stussy are on our side. This ends off with Shaka, I believe, offering Stussy to come with them and telling Stussy to get on the boat and we'll sail off the island together. To which Usopp says, hey, you can't just, offer free rides to everybody we meet. So it looks like if we do get off this island, we're going to have even more powerful members to add. We're going to have 4 pacifistas, or seraphims in this case. We're going to have the 6 Vegapunks. We're going to have Stussy, and we're going to have the Stella body of Vegapunk. Maybe. See, as all this hullabaloo was going on, Luffy and Chopper have been looking for Vegapunk and Bonnie, who have both mysteriously vanished. And that's all the info we get on that. A good theory is that they're probably inside the room with Kuma's memories in it, and Vegapunk probably closed the door so that nobody else sees the memories. The two of them are probably reliving Kuma's memories now because, let's face it, there's nothing Vegapunk can do to stop Bonnie. The ball is rolling, and we're going to probably get a Kuma memory arc for a little bit. Maybe like 1 or 2 chapters of just full-on flashback, just like the good old days, where we learn the history of not just Kuma, but probably Bonnie, Kuma's special race, the Sorbet Kingdom, and how it betrayed the world government, and a bit of history into the Revolutionary Army, something we've been waiting for a very long time. We then cut to Sphinx Island, of all places, which is very interesting because it's nice to see Oda taking this arc differently. Rather than just a contained adventure on this one arc, we keep going back and forth to other parts of the world, seeing what's going on, instead of getting one, like, meanwhile everywhere else chapter. We're getting a meanwhile almost every other chapter. I mean, a couple chapters ago we learned about Garp. This chapter we're going to have, what's going on at Sphinx Island. So Egghead Island is becoming a longer arc, not just because of the island itself, but the fact that we keep jumping to other places. Anyways, we're going to Sphinx Island, which is the former home of Whitebeard, back when he was a child, to see the people of this island telling Marco what happened while he was gone, helping in the Battle of Wano. Apparently, some of the Marines showed up to find Whitebeard's treasure, as they put it, which is very reminiscent of the, I believe his name was Nezumi, the mousy-looking guy who tried to steal all the treasure that Nami cured in order to help Arlong keep the village and his navigator. That didn't work out well for him, and we see here that it doesn't work out well for these guys either, because while Marco was away, the defenseless island of Sphinx Island was not actually defenseless. It had one guardian, a man who believed in Whitebeard and what he stood for, a man by the name of Edward Weevil. Yeah, Weevil. He was, apparently he went to Sphinx Island, Dad's homeland, and defended it from the Marines. Unfortunately, Green Bull showed up and took him away. We learn that because Miss Buckingham Stussy herself, Miss Bakin, tells Marco that, they took him away, and she actually goes as far as to ask Marco to save him. And Marco responds with, listen, I appreciate what he did for Pop's Island, but he and I, you and me, we're not really on the best terms. And Stussy responds with, "Okay, listen, I know you don't believe he's Whitebeard's son. I get it. All you Whitebeard pirates don't believe that. But there is one man who can prove it, and that man is Dr. Vegapunk." So, I don't know, we might see Marco again because Bakine is demanding a baby daddy test now. Like, she wants that DNA test. She wants cold, hard proof. This has sparked a few theories. And I just want to make this clear. Maybe I'll make a video of it myself. Now that clones are an official thing, like clones were an official thing in Whole Cake Island when we saw that Judge, literally the population of the Germa Kingdom is all cloned soldiers. But Stussy is the first example of a powerful entity being cloned. Or at least a member of Rock's Pirates, because Oda gives us a little title card, the official name of Miss Bakine, Miss Buckingham Stussy, self-proclaimed scientist of the Rock's Pirates, and freeloader of Mads. So, my guess is she's actually not that scientifically knowledgeable, but backing up to what I want to say, though, is if you want to believe that Whitebeard truly had a son in Weevil, or if Whitebeard's clone is Weevil, that's fine. I don't mind that theory. But now that clones are on the table, we've got theories out there of like Zoro's a clone of Ryuma, Bonnie's a clone of Big Mom, Luffy's a clone of Roger, Chopper's a clone of the most famous raccoon in all of history, that raccoon from Over the Hedge. We got, Sanji is a clone of Judge, even though we know he has a biological mother. Like, I appreciate that clones are in the story. I don't mind the sci-fi in my fantasy pirate adventure. But please, please everyone, just calm down on the whole everyone's a clone theory. It's gonna get old extremely fast. But even that is not where this chapter ends. This chapter ends with one of the biggest name drops in all of One Piece so far. A character who has been left unnamed for hundreds of chapters. In fact, I'm going to look up and see exactly how many chapters it was since we met this person. Having met this character over 830 chapters ago, in chapter 233, we finally know the name of J. Garcia Saturn, one of the 5 elders, and he is on his way to Egghead as we speak. Now, this is a lot of big things. 1, they actually have names. That's kind of cool. 2, we know they're not immortal because we know Bonnie's power is only a temporary thing on living things. We know Toki's power can only go forward. So far, any time or age related powers we've seen does not grant eternal life. So unless the previous user of the Op fruit did this to the 5 elders 5 times, we don't have any proof that this guy's immortal. But the other thing I want to point out is this is an elder, one of the 5 elders, not only having left Marie-Joie, but left alone. There's not the other 4, unless they're somewhere else on the boat. But this guy's alone, which means, if he is powerful, we're about to see the full force of one of the 5 elders, which might be stronger than the admirals or Yonkos themselves. Either that, or he just has a really, really good authority, and that's going to be a problem on the Seraphim when he says, "Hey Seraphim, kill Vegapunk." And Vegapunk can't stop them. Regardless, though, the 5 elders are finally making a move. And I mean like a real move, not just like we're going to sit here in a room and give some exposition to people. No, this is, we're actually here, we're going to do things. Now, the way his name is translated, it says J. Garcia Saturn, but it's the way I got it written here. So some people translated it when in the scanlations J. Garcia as with a space between, but others like Viz Manga wrote it as J. Garcia. So I don't know if maybe it's pronounced J. Garcia or whatever the reason. We also don't know if this is like a last name that's shared by all 5 elders or if they all have full-on unique names. I'm going to take a wild guess that the others are named after other celestial bodies, probably Mars, Venus. I wouldn't say Uranus because there's an ancient weapon, and Pluton because there's an ancient weapon. What if the other. What if. Huh. No. It'd be too late for ODOT to introduce 5 more ancient weapons in addition to the 3 that we've known throughout the story. So I doubt they are ancient weapons given their naming's sake, but that's an interesting backdoor theory. I don't think they're actual ancient weapons, but the others are probably named Mars, Jupiter, insert other Sailor Scouts here. What he's going to do when he gets there, who knows, but I'm looking forward to it. Unfortunately, there is no new chapter next week, so I might actually touch up more on my opinion of the whole everyone's a clone now theory. But the implication of clones are here to stay, and therefore anyone could be anyone else's clone depending on how strong they are or how close they are to Vegapunk. For all we know, maybe that's the reason we've never seen Luffy's mom. Maybe it's just because Luffy is a direct clone of Dragon. Who knows? Regardless, though, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.